Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. Today we are going to look at a video on osmium, and I am joined by my good partner, Space Miner. Space Miner, welcome in. How you doing? You're on mute. There you go.
Buddy.
Chew, welcome in. So,
Switch over to chat, see what's up.
the branch, Otogian. Nice. Good to see you, Otogian. 888 the Great, yo, what is up, my friend? So, I got a video sent over to me from a friend of mine, and we are going to talk about it and take a look at it and talk a little bit about osmium. I think Ian, I just was talking with him. I think he will be joining us here shortly as well. Yeah, what's going on with you guys out there in chat? Good to see you. Any Ivory? Not at the moment. Yeah, that was. Did you like that video on artifacts? So what did I get since the last time? Since I didn't do the unboxing, I'll just show you here. While we're waiting. Oh, here's Ian. So we'll get right to it here in a second. Let me pull him up. Ian, welcome in. Good to see you. How you doing?
Hey there, Kevin. Hey there, Space Miner.
Evening.
We're gonna get into this video here from about 6 years ago from Kitco.
Was that the one that Nick came across?
Yeah, he sent it over to me, and I thought it was pretty cool. And so we're gonna take a look at it and talk about it. And I was waiting on you, and I thought I'd show my new piece off. This is the new Swan.
So it's not the orange one.
Not the orange Swan. This is the 2025 Swan. I believe this is the 7th or 8th. I got the rest here.
Oh, wow.
And so I've collected. They started, I think, in 17 or something like that.
That's a fairly low mintage, isn't it, on those?
Yeah, fairly low mintage, and only been around for a few years. So I've managed to collect them all so far, and I really liked this one actually. I thought it's got a really pretty setting, and I like this one. I like the reeds sticking out of the water there.
Yeah.
Kind of a nice effect. So yeah, nice piece there. And then what else? Oh, then I got that camera over there. Then I got this piece. This was the first piece from the Italy mint, Italiana.
Oh, wow.
I think this is their first bullion silver coin that they've came out with in a long time. So
this year?
Yes. And I think they sold out pretty quickly from the mint. I picked this up at a place that shall not be mentioned. No, it was Atmex. Silver and Cigars, welcome in. Good to see you. So yeah, it's kind of rare, and it's been moving fast, but this is their first silver piece that they've put out in a long time.
I'll have to. One of my wholesalers owns Atmex. They bought Atmex. So I'll have to ask them.
Really?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, that guy has some moolah. Yeah. So Flora, I think it's called Daisy or something like that. Is what it's called. But anyway, those are the two pieces that I got, and yeah. So let's go over and take a look at this video here. Let me share my screen. Pull this up here. Okay. Are we ready? Can we see? We're good to go. Okay, so this is, everybody knows Daniela Cambone, and this is her on Kitco News about 6 years ago. So a while ago. All right, we're going to start it off here. I'm going to interrupt it here every once in a while so we don't get copyrighted. But
heard of it. Osmium, we're going to learn more about it. It's one of 8 precious metals, but you may have never heard of it. Osmium, we're going to learn more about it with Bodo Albrecht today. He's a well-known speaker and author in the precious metal space. Bodo, good to see you again.
Nice to see you again, Daniel.
We usually talk gold, silver, palladium, but today, osmium. Am I even pronouncing it right?
Yeah, it's absolutely right.
So I've never heard of it. Full disclosure here.
Yes.
So I need to know everything: where it's mined, where uses, and why we're talking about it today.
Yes. Osmium is incredibly rare. It's one of the rarest metals on this planet. It is co-mined with platinum usually at a ratio of 10. You have to mine 10,000 tons of platinum ore to
10,000 tons of platinum ore.
Get 1 ounce of osmium. This is how rare it is.
So is it mostly found in South Africa?
South Africa is the main source for it. Yes.
Okay. How is it priced? Is it a spot price? Is it per ounce?
Yes, there is a per ounce price for osmium. However, osmium as a metal is really not very popular in industry. Not only is it so hard that it's very hard to work with, it is also toxic, poisonous, and it forms osmium tetroxide when it's exposed to air. So that makes it very, very complicated.
So, yeah, I want to point out that it's the 8th precious metal to be brought to the market, and it is the rarest. And then in its normal form, when refined, it can be toxic. But in this even rarer form that we deal in, the crystalline, it's even a step beyond that in rareness. So,
in fact, it's the last precious metal to be brought to market.
The last precious metal. Most precious, most noble, and the last to be brought. Huh?
But that's the past. Think of osmium like a diamond. A diamond is made of carbon, and carbon is an entirely different material. So osmium is our new carbon, and what the new discovery really is, the new development is that you can crystallize osmium. So when you crystallize osmium, I have an example here.
It's beautiful. It looks like a diamond.
They look like diamonds.
A bit of a blue tint.
Yes. So when you make these crystals, it becomes completely inert. So you can take it out, you can touch it, you can wear it as jewelry. This is obviously intended as a jewelry item, but it's also an investment item now that the metal can be formed into 1 ounce round bars. And
so, yeah, you take the most precious of the noble metals and you make it even rarer and get it in a form which is the most inert instead of being a toxic metal. It becomes the most inert metal. And
I would like to correct his grammar possibly, because he said you can crystallize it.
No, you can't.
Only Rolf in Switzerland can successfully do it to the level and the consistency and the uniformity. They call it the Swiss watch grade. He'd worked 40 years to get to an acceptable grade, and then the Swiss watchmaker said, no, you need to do it better.
wow.
So he had to improve the process to get a uniform crystallization height. I'm sure Space Miner could tell us a lot more about the scientific technical issues and getting uniformity.
Yeah, it really is extraordinary, the precision that they've managed to work osmium. Like we've talked about in the past, there's well over 250 individual pieces of criteria that need to be met for this process to be a successful process. And if one goes wrong, one of those over 250 things go wrong, the whole process is done. You might as well shut the machine off and start over again. And I think it goes, it speaks to the strength of a natural monopoly as well. Like, these guys aren't just a natural monopoly. The Institute is not merely natural monopoly from the amount of osmium they've purchased, but from their refining from their crystallization techniques. I mean, it's top of the it's the top level, top of the standard, the rarest form of the rarest metal, and for them to achieve this is a scientific wonder of a sort, you know.
Right, and it's the most noble of the noble metals. One of the things that make the precious metals precious is it can't corrode, right? And
It's the most noble of anything, isn't it? Because it's
right.
undissolvable.
So I mean, we're talking. There's so many different things when you get to thinking about it that just it's mind baffling how unique and incredible. And then in the strict by that crystalline structure, you're also adding a unique fingerprint onto each piece and giving it its uniqueness. So yeah, it's a lot of cool aspects. Shall I continue on a bit? Hey, David Carlisle, welcome in.
Before we breeze too far from it, another unique piece of the crystallization is not only does it eliminate the natural toxicity of it, like it doesn't completely eliminate it, but it eliminates it beyond the scope of our capability of dealing with it. Like it's non-allergic, it's safe, it's non-allergenic, it's not gonna. So if people are looking for like safe jewelry to wear,
right,
this is it. This is safe. It'll be one of the last materials to exist in the universe because of how safe it is. How inert it absolutely is. So that makes it safe for jewelry use, for skin contact, and because this is a big deal with people. They're worried about osmium toxicity, and in this crystal form, it's bound, it's permanent, which makes it safe. So
yeah, amazingly inert. Yeah, and like me and Ian like to say, it's kind of going to be probably the last thing standing. It also takes an incredible amount of heat before it starts to break down, right?
Around 400 centigrade is the recommended safe level. At 500 is the point where you would actually start to be getting it to the point where it could start to oxidize.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what 500 centigrade translates into Fahrenheit.
House fire.
House fire. Okay.
All right. Let's see.
And I think most things are in trouble in a house fire, aren't they? So.
Yeah, but while you're busy picking your gold puddles off of the floor, you're going to be picking discs of osmium up.
Interesting.
I think it would be the thing that I would take first from the safe, though, with the highest value density.
Yeah, take it and run.
Yeah.
Leave your Krugerrands. I don't care. Give me my osmium.
Because that's where the value is, isn't it? It's in that altered atomic state in the crystalline structure. That's the value. Because the raw osmium, I'm not quite sure what it's trading at. I think it's about $600 a gram. I'm not sure. But you see it, don't you, in different forms, sintered beads, cubes. Different companies are selling osmium of unknown purity, but not in the crystalline form. So its value is in being the rarest form of the rarest metal, which happens to be a precious metal.
And the most inert makes it the most inert and takes it up in several notches from the identification that's built into it to.
Interesting. I've got a little story I can share about the identification. So I saw on eBay a couple of days ago, I was looking up osmium coins, just checking just in case there was anything out there. And this piece of osmium came up from a jeweler in New York. And I thought, wow, that's priced a bit cheap. So I just bought it. And then the Osmium Institute have done a scan just to verify that it actually is a genuine piece. So
interesting.
That's an interesting from a picture they can identify a piece of osmium.
Yeah,
so that makes it pretty resistant to theft, or if it is stolen, it can be returned to its actual owner.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the unique things about it. Like you should speak on that, Space Miner, because already it's the most dense product, right? So you can't really fill it with something. And what else would you say? I mean, it's really, it's thin, and you even if it was thick, you can't weight wise pack something to that same frame of size, right? And therefore, it's kind of hard to counterfeit by any means.
Yeah, I'm sure Space Mine. I don't think there's anything even in a temporary state that is denser. Is there? Is there any compound or element in a radioactive state that is denser? Or
most of these when guys speak about these theoretical denser particles and stuff, these are particles that exist in momentary lapses of time.
So they don't count.
No, they're impractical. They're mostly theoretical. A couple of them been quote unquote proven. And we view them for like a moment in eternity, and that's it. So
it's similar to I think they recently announced they managed to make some gold particles from lead in a particle accelerator, but as soon as it hit the wall or something, it ceased to be gold anymore.
Yeah, and a few $1 million to probably do that.
Yeah, to make gold for a millisecond.
Yeah, it seems like they're like trying to almost like reverse time, because all things lead to lead,
right?
And and so again, that speaks to the preservation of the material as well.
Right.
While everything's busy rolling to lead, osmium will be crystallized osmium will be the last. I mean, osmium in general, but then crystallized osmium, what's more,
Still sitting pretty.
But as to the security aspect of it, B was exactly spot on. They purposefully make these bars and discs and these cuts extremely thin. One of the reasons is so that even if you could pack them, you wouldn't have the room to pack them.
Yeah.
And another one of the security states of it is the natural blue color of osmium. It's the only metal that's naturally blue. And
pretty blue.
The crystalline structure of the surface it has 10,000 times more recognition factor than your fingerprint per square millimeter.
Yeah. So
that means
if you add those three facets together, I don't think there's anything else that is less forgeable, is there?
And we haven't even started talking about the actual security of the process.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother level. I mean, because you have to have the education, the materials, the tools, and the time and the money to put it all together.
4 decades of effort, and research and trial and error.
Yeah, Ingo Wolf did not accomplish this overnight. This wasn't something that happened in the blink of an eye. These guys teamed up and worked for, like you said, decades to release this. And you know what? They probably could have done it a little bit sooner, but they're better than that. And they wanted a better process. They wanted a better product than that. They didn't stop substandard. Like you said, they came back and they said, no, we want it better. And they did it,
Yeah.
So incredible work that they did. I shout out to them. And that's a lot of respect for the professionality they employed.
I wonder what Rolf thought when the Swiss watchmaker said, "Yeah, if you make it better, we'll use it." And he'd taken him 40 years. It's like I know what my answer would have been.
Yeah.
But I think the Institute has shown. I think we've all shown ourselves within the Institute that we really do try to provide an excellency of service and an efficacy of service. We're morally, ethically, we have a moral, ethical foundation about us, and that's what built the company. The metal is ethically tied from source to hand.
So
the entire way.
So apart from a few exceptions, I mean, I know the Royal Canadian Mint are doing single source gold coins, limited edition, where they can supposedly prove that the gold was ethically mined. But in general, if you think about the history of gold and silver, it's a pretty ugly history, isn't it? You think of the millions of people died under the Spanish conquering, the Southern Americas. Literally millions of people died just to produce a few million ounces of silver. And that silver is being refined, and heck, it could be a bit in that bar.
Right.
It's like, at least as far as I know, and as far as the Institute told me, that it took them 11 years to source 350 kilos of 100% ethically sourced osmium, that they knew without doubt there was no people's lives put at risks in either the mining or separating and refining the osmium.
Yeah, indeed. All right, I'm going to play a bit more here.
Stored with a very high value density.
So we're only speaking about it now because they found safer ways to mine it. Is that it?
It's not mined that way. It's a production step.
Okay.
It's so you mine the raw osmium and then you turn it into osmium crystals in a very complicated process. Also a lengthy process. It takes a long time to produce these crystals. That's why we have them now. And they have been around for only a very few years.
Very few years.
Yes.
So if someone wants to invest in this space, how do you go about it?
Well, at this point...
Can we pause that?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. While he was talking about, she was asking a question about the mining, and I didn't want to blow past this. There are no mines. There are no osmium mines. There are platinum mines.
Right.
There's iron and nickel mines.
Right.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
That's happening here is we're not taking anything extra.
Right.
No extra damage.
Right.
No extra, just stuff that they were going to dispose of ultimately.
Yep.
And that's how it was first isolated, wasn't it? The two British scientists were working with platinum residue, and they found a substance that they couldn't reduce any further. So they deduced this has got to be an element.
Yep.
Because they found a substance they could not dissolve. And that really confused them, because up until then, everything was dissolvable.
Wow, that had to be crazy to see. Interesting.
But that's, just to lean back on the ethical sourcing, this is part of what makes it an ethical sourcing. Is fact. We're not creating additional ecological impacts with this. In fact, we're diminishing them, if anything. So I just wanted to point that out real quick.
Yep. It's not like it's something that's taken from already existing product that's been pulled already. So
Oh, we've got a good question there. Long lived from the branch Octagon. So the Osmium Institute do a great program where you can buy smaller pieces and then you can exchange them weight for a bigger piece in the future, without charge, actually. And I think they bear the shipping cost as well. So, but generally I suggest to people, you stack the pieces that are most likely and have the highest probability of having a high demand in jewelry or whatever other uses, like some of the things we make, dominoes and dice. So I think those trends are good to watch. So I think the smaller pieces will have a greater percentage gain potentially than the bigger pieces, especially as the price rises. There'll be the pieces that a larger market will be able to afford. So, and possibly, I mean, if you had the spare funds, maybe a piece that would make a watch face, because I think osmium watches will become a sub-genre in the high-end watch collecting world, potentially.
Yeah, and you want to stack in the most efficient way to stack, which is in the hexagon form. And so you want to get osmium nectar, which is my new line of osmium, crystalline osmium, which comes in the shape of a hexagon. And it was funny that I'm getting this line, and the other day Space Miner said to me, we were talking about hexagons, and he's like, the most efficient way to stack, because just from like bees, in the honeycomb, it turns out that is about the best way, most efficient way to stack weight, like Space Miner was saying, is the hexagon form. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Yeah, so we're stacking it in the most efficient way you can in the hexagon over here. So yeah, I know. Okay, good deal. I'm gonna continue on a bit more here.
This Osmium Institute that is really about getting the idea spread, the idea of osmium as an investment item and something that you can safely wear as jewelry. They are marketing the metal. However, they are working on finding local partners. They have partners in 20 countries of the world. They're in the United States, in North America. They're all over Europe. They're developing in Asia, in Australia. And these crystals will be available through wholesale jewelers, through retailers, and then a trading market will eventually.
Are there certain companies?
So he said that not knowing, what was going to come, but here we are, three pop-up partners, I guess, in the U.S., huh?
Yeah, one thing he keeps mentioning, the crystals. I think he's
noticed
losing
that. Yeah.
Because they're not individual crystals. It's a continuous piece, one piece of, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. It's one complete continuous piece of metal that has a crystallization on the surface. So
monocrystal.
Yeah.
Monocrystal.
Monocrystalline. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that should definitely be understood, that I don't think is understood right away all the time.
In fact, a lot of people, when they come and see it in the store, they're scared. They say, "Oh, will it crumble?"
Yeah,
that was
the first thing I thought. It's like, don't get that expensive dust on me. He's like moving it around me. I'm like, you're gonna flake some off on me.
Very occasionally, you will get a tiny, almost microscopic speck. Literally, occasionally I've noticed that, because obviously I've handled many hundreds of pieces now. But and you just might catch it if the light is in the right direction. But literally, it would be, I don't know, wouldn't even be a millionth of a gram, probably.
Yeah.
Well, and since you're on that note, it just so happens to be, an extremely abrasion resistant surface and compression resistant surface. So that makes it extremely resilient.
Isn't it the highest abrasive resistance?
It is. It's the most abrasive
surface.
Surface. Yeah. And that has to do with, like, it's like roughly like a 7.5 on the Mohs, that puts it like near sapphire hardness.
Okay.
But it's like the strength of steel, and it's got the highest compression resistance of all the metals. Yep. So the pressure you could put on it before it fractures is really kind of a cool thing, so those little pyramidal structures can really take a good deal of shearing and pushing force before they want to fracture and shatter. So
I wonder if you could use one as a die for striking into a soft metal. I wonder how resilient that would be if you actually use a piece of osmium as a die.
That'd be scary. An osmium alloy, though, an osmium alloy for sure.
Yeah.
You put a little bit of osmium into like a tungsten, and that tungsten's never going to die ever.
I was just thinking about using the pattern to imprint. I guess you could work up from the really soft metal.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's some point where, because striking it, because it is hard, so brittle. The harder something is, the more brittle it becomes, you know. So I don't know. I bet you could strike some soft metals with it pretty well. Like an indium would just go bleh.
Probably work on gold.
Yeah, I bet you I bet you could strike the gold with it. Oh no, man! Now I'm gonna have to find out.
It was only a friend of mine suggested that I used a piece of osmium to strike onto a piece of silver. I guess if you heated up your silver to just below its melting point, it'd be a lot softer, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I could try on some electrical solder first, some tin silver, because that's really soft, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'll try it on some indium.
Okay.
That's a little bit harder yet. So yeah. I think we'll try to find the limit. I'll find a sacrifice piece, and
I'll see if we can get a piece donated for the sake of scientific experiment. That might be a better
That'd be nice, right? That'd be great. Hey, Broke Stacker, welcome in.
you know, if we can save the shock and just go with full compression, it would probably hold beyond the other metals. Like we might actually have a hard time getting it out of the metal again.
Although that pyramidal structure, they're all sloped, aren't they? The faces, so if you used a very smooth hydraulic press just to very gently increase the pressure, give the metal a chance to flow that you're pressing it into. It's worth a try.
Yeah, I bet it's a great shearing tool, you know, like a good shearing metal in this case, like you're saying, because of those pyramidal facets, you know.
Yeah.
So, now you got me, Pete. Dang it.
Okay, Silver Boy Blues, good to see you, my friend. Okay, so we are gonna take the video a bit further here.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab.
Like who's behind the production?
It would be the platinum mines, really. They produce the osmium. It is foreseeable that the osmium's rarity will actually increase. So you will find fewer and fewer osmium, and one day it may actually run out because the concentration is getting so low.
I just learned two things in the past week. I was just at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and someone was telling me helium's going to be the hottest thing.
Helium.
And now, now I'm learning about osmium. But you know, Bodo, I've known you for a long time. You've been in this space for many years. What made you focus on osmium?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I was preparing for a presentation at a conference last year, and they asked me to speak about osmium, and I really didn't like the idea because I knew the old osmium, the metal that you cannot do much about. But then I discovered this development, and I got all excited about it because in parallel, you have a crisis in the diamond market. The De Beers monopoly is really shaking because of the artificially grown diamonds that are now flooding the market.
Well, do you also avoid conflict issues? Obviously, diamonds tied to the whole, blood diamond.
Absolutely.
So he was talking about maybe one day in the future it could run out. Well, we know that's happened. And
interestingly, he was talking about the ethical side, and I do know from talking to Ingo and Rolf, the scientists who developed the production process, they've just gone to extensive lengths over the last 11 years to source all of the absolutely 100% ethically produced osmium. And in that journey, they've learned more about how much physical refined osmium is actually available. And it's been hypothecated accidentally. People have looked at sales to say somebody had 20 kilos, then it was sold to somebody else and they split it up and sold 10 kilos and then sold 5 and sold 5. People have been adding up all of those sales, presuming it was 100 kilos of osmium, yet it was only 20 kilos of osmium ever existed, and that's multiplied. So it is the actual amount of refined osmium is a lot rarer than what was previously presumed.
Huh. Wow. All right, you got anything you want to say on that, Space Miner, or should we roll on? Okay, I think he's saying go on. You're muted, but okay, we're gonna
Yes.
go.
So
Roll on, roll
does
on.
this eliminate that? Like,
It does,
is it a
yes.
more sustainable metal, precious metal, compared to a diamond?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. And these diamonds are sourced from the people who make the platinum for automotive catalysts. So mining companies that are big in the mining industry, they have undergone all the responsible care programs, the ethical certificates, and sustainability issues.
Wow.
So it's it's guilt-free, if you will, and it's a great.
And it's beautiful. It looks nice.
It's beautiful
So,
on top of it.
well,
Yes.
thank you for teaching me about this osmium. Who knew?
Who knew?
Never
Yes.
knew about it. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Bodo. Thank
You're very
you for
welcome.
stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Daniela.
So that was 6 years ago. I thought it was kind of interesting. We've learned some stuff since then, but
And then he had no idea, because when I first discovered osmium, there was a presumption that the maximum crystalline osmium could approach the total amount of
700.
Well, the amount of maximum realistically mineable osmium was estimated to be a cubic meter, or 22 tons, or 22,000 kilograms. But early last year, Rolf, the scientist who makes it, and Ingo and the Osmium Institute decided to cap the total production at 350 kilos. So I'm not sure what the math is there, but instead of a potential 22,000 kilos, there's only going to be 350 kilos.
That's a big difference.
Well, and there's also a big difference, you see. I mean, when I first discovered it, I perceived this is so rare, I'm not leaving the presence of it till I buy some of it. And I ended up buying some personal jewelry off the vice president of the company, because they weren't allowed to sell any of the pieces they were showing at the conference. And that's when the potential over all of human history would have been 22,000 kilos. But now we know there's only going to be 350 kilos.
yeah, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then just to carry that concept further, because it's the densest anything, if you stack that very, very neatly, it would easily fit within inside 3 basketballs.
Yeah.
So now it's getting, whoa, there's not many people ever going to have a piece of this.
Yeah, for sure. That's
let alone more than one piece.
Yeah, that's amazing. One little small piece. I'm actually pretty rare just holding this piece right here. The backer said he finds gemstones on the ground. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Space Miner, I think, comes across some gems every once in a while on the ground, don't you?
Yeah, every once in a while.
I know Nickel in the chat, he has just all kinds of gems and diamonds. What do you call it, 888? What do you say that you have? All kinds of gems? Is that what you call them? What do you say? Gem collection? But yeah, that's it's a kind of a new area for me when you get into this metal, because it does work so well for just wealth preservation, but it being the rarest and most noble and all those things, and yet being the most sparkliest, shiniest thing you'll ever see. It just adds to all on top. Plus, it's a built-in safety code, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. How many more things can we tackle with one element here?
I know, Space Miner, you had some ideas of using small pieces as an access key, as a physical. So it's almost, that's one of the things captivating me. This is it's superior to all the other precious metals, and it's superior to blockchain. Yet it's physical.
It's tangible crypto.
Yeah.
In fact, a square millimeter of that surpasses a 250 bit encryption. It's well beyond any crypto key. It's it's permanent. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's far more secure, like digitally coded, speaking in a coded manner. It's far more secure in a coded manner. So it's far more secure as a tangible.
In a way, I don't know if anybody else has used this term. It's a fully fungible token because you could tokenize it, yet it's fully fungible.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
Maybe we should start doing our own fully fungible token.
Silverboy Blues, yeah. Can I answer this question fully as I want to? Can we break some of the upcoming information yet, Ian, or as far as what?
Where are the Osmium Institute likely to be? Sorry.
He was saying up above, he was talking to his jewelers about it, and they're getting interested, and he was talking to some people and saying that he was also going to be down at the convention in Las Vegas, a big jewelry convention, which we know.
Yes. Yeah, Bruna will be there, and Margarita from Germany will be at Vegas. So, yeah, Silverboy, if you're there, I will make an introduction for you.
And Silverboy, I'm going to try to be there too, buddy. So if I'm there, you can always hook up with me, and I'll make sure we shake some hands. Can
I talk about what's coming up after that, Ian?
Sure, absolutely.
So yeah, we're also going to be having a Osmium symposium in Denver.
The world's first.
The world first, yeah. And so I would love it if you would, if anybody wants to come make it, we're gonna be having some special, quite a few different people are going to be showing up, some very unique minds and great ideas I think are going to be had there. So if anybody is interested, I think it'll be well worth it to stop by and check it out, and I can get you more, all the details as the time approaches. But that's going to be coming up right after the show in Las Vegas, and the German team will be coming down here to meet us in Denver. And
and there'll be a huge selection of raw osmium pieces plus jewelry and ideas from all over the world. We have just found out actually the other day, we have the State Institute for Mexico. Kathy Burrows, she'll be attending, and Bruno is coming up after Vegas.
Cool. Yeah, he says he's not going to be able to make it to Vegas, but maybe we'll get him here. It'd be great if you could show. We'll definitely show you around, bud. And let me know, and we'll get you taken care of.
Yeah, we have invites going out. I can announce to over 220 jewelers in Colorado. So we're expecting 20 or 30 to attend an event. So we'll be getting the news out. And I really expect it to spread from Colorado really quickly across the US, because some of these jewelers are just going to get hold of it and run with it, just like our friend Nick in San Diego with his goldsmith Danny doing incredible things with it. I think for the jewelers who just grasp the beauty, the scarcity, all of the features we talked about, they will build their business because they will have something at the time other jewelers wake up to it, they'll be left behind. It'll be too late.
Yeah, I remember the first time you showed it to me and talked to me about it, all its different elements and what was going on with it, and that it could also be used in jewelry and this and that, and it might take. And I remember thinking, well, I know it'd be good just to have it as well, and then you can figure out the jewelry part later because
exactly.
So there's a lot of different good elements there within it, indeed.
Yeah, crystallized osmium is real cool about that. Like there's not a lot of metals that you can structure your structure your investment so easily within, you know, like, because with crystallized osmium, you can aim at direct use, you know, with like your smaller pieces, like right away, you can start slapping them in jewelry and whatever you want. But it also does offer those larger investments for those that see the opportunity, but may not have, you know, the project in mind yet, or maybe never plan on it. Maybe they just want to be there for the guys that will have a plan. And you can pick your size, you know, your shapes, you can pick your weights, you can pick your sparkle qualities. I mean, you can pick your investment input, you know, whether it be, you know, some pieces as low as $35, $50 up to 35,000, 50,000, you know,
300,000.
I mean, it's whatever you want to invest in it.
Yeah.
They make it really easy, and you could do it in a single piece.
Yeah.
You can almost claim whatever investment you want in a single piece, which is incredible. Like, you know, imagine doing that with a gold bar, you know, like you're going to be walking around with this giant chunk. You ain't exactly sticking that in your coat pocket and getting through the airport, you know? So I just want to say, you know, customized investment, and, you know, it's unique. So
yeah, some unique products. Ian has just put out a really cool domino set that I've been really impressed with, and
he made a good video with it.
and he made a video with it.
I did. It's still on my phone.
And he also introduced me to this, and one of his friends makes these cylinders, and I was really impressed with how well these were machined. And now I'm happy to announce that that's going to be another project that we got in the works. Is I'm going to be offering up my new idea with the same as this, same design, same everything, except instead of it saying 3 nines fine right there in the middle, it's going to have a 3 mil diamond cut osmium, sparkle grade 3, placed into, or at least that's probably where I'll start, or maybe a little higher, 3 or somewhere in there, 3, 4. And so we'll be offering, you can get the bullet itself with just a primer of osmium, or you can get a whole cylinder with osmium cut into it. And yeah, I think that'll be pretty sweet as well.
Or anywhere in between.
Or exactly, or anywhere in between. Indeed.
Yeah, that's a cool way to build the set. That I love osmium in silver, man. It is such a great dual investment.
Yeah,
you know,
it's the first and the last precious metals combined, isn't it?
Yeah, you've mentioned that before. I always forget that. It's beautiful in a way. It really is. It's the past and the present. It's old technology and new technology. It's everything. It's
I know
it's a great dual investment. Strong dual.
We got a question there from 888 about the sparkle grade, I think.
Yes. Okay. I'll get to it here 1 second. Is a traditional diamond shaped cut translucent enough to be set in jewelry like a diamond, or is it more opaque because of the relative property?
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely set similar techniques to a diamond. You can, even with 14 karat gold, quite hard gold, you can clasp it like you would a diamond. The osmium is very robust. So it can be mounted. It has been. I mean, we've had lots of pieces made where our goldsmith will roll the edge of the gold or the white gold over to hold the osmium. He's had no issues so far doing that. It's completely opaque because it's a solid metal. So that sparkle is literally the reflectivity. I think I'm correct in saying there is no refraction going on there. I mean, there may be a 1/1,000,000th. I don't know. There may be a teeny bit. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, there's always a refractive index, but it's almost
There is no
non-existent.
such thing as a solid surface, is there? Light is going to get an atom into it, I guess. But practically speaking, it's just a reflection that makes it sparkle.
Yep.
And it sparkles more than diamond in sunlight because it loves parallel light, because that parallel light hits those mirrors which are in the plane of the osmium, and that's when you get the maximum sparkle. So either a white LED light, which more and more places have LED lighting now, but the ultimate is sunlight to see it in.
Hey, and I like it in night lights too, like red lights and blue lights and stuff too. Man, I think it's a club metal. You know,
you've done some great
so cool
experiments with laser light, haven't you, on it?
Yeah, laser goes everywhere. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's just such a flat pyramidal face that it's just so dense that it's ultra flat. So, like you said it perfectly. Those parallel rays, like pink, pink. You know, just it's there and it's back, and you lose almost nothing except for the red, like bits of your red light you lose, but that, if anything, that just makes it a sharper, quicker light.
Right.
You know, so it's gorgeous, the reflections. I mean,
Okay.
you would need like a highly polished silver to compete, and there's no way you're going to get a highly polished silver with that many little sparkling reflective points. It's just, it's such a busy spark. I've never seen such a busy sparkle in my life. I've never seen such a busy sparkle.
So 888 is wondering, says, so total possible owners is 40,000, but how many people would have 5 grades? So you mean sparkle grade 5?
Yes. I'm not sure what the ratio and the production is. I'm sure they adjust it to suit the demand. But as we approach the end of next year, that will be the end of the mass crystallization. And then they'll only run the process occasionally to use up offcuts and trimmings when people get larger pieces cut into smaller pieces. So no, I don't know what the ratio is. I mean, typically it seems to be the bulk of the pieces are in the sort of 3 to 4 on, I would have thought, by volume. They don't use the Sparkle 1 is generally used for the very, very fine detail pieces, like the uppercase letters and numbers are generally cut from a Sparkle 1. So yeah, potentially in the future, the Sparkle 5 could have an increased value just because of how dramatic they are. But Space Miner put it really, he gave a terminology, I think you mentioned constellation, so the number of points. So it's not, it depends on your use and the environment you're likely to view it in. Sometimes the finer pieces can be more dramatic because you've got more sparkle points, more, you know, a more dense constellation.
Frequency and variety.
There you go.
Is what I like to say.
Yeah.
You know, and size of reflection. Yeah. So size of light, frequency, and variety, I guess, is my measuring points. So
yeah.
Yep, and that's really the main differences. And then one other thing is the metal does have a light blue hue as you're looking at it, especially at certain angles. And the higher in sparkle grade you go, generally the more blue hue
you get
out of it.
Yeah.
So that is one desirable thing for me about the higher grades, because I love the blue. But
it will definitely interesting to do some math to project how many owners there realistically will be, because obviously there'll be a few people who'll be buying a lot, so that will disproportionately reduce the total number of potential owners. I don't think I'll be selling my core holding. Right. So that's going to rule out a few hundred people that haven't been able to get a piece.
Yep.
I've seen it time and time again. You know, you go into the market and you watch a whole shelf clear out overnight.
Yeah.
You know, a whole shelf of something, just like, what? You know, people like to pretend like this is like this ultra thin market. And although by metric, maybe like per capita of world population, sure, maybe it's a pretty thin market. But within the market, it's really pretty strong and busy. You know, it's not, it doesn't carry the same frequency as like a gold or silver, but you know, that it's kind of like the difference between gold and silver. You know, there's going to be less frequency of a gold purchase as compared to a silver purchase, I would imagine. You know,
Yeah.
just affordability and availability, right? You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so it's, but I'm seeing, what I see is actually from the people that are buying, everybody that's dipped into the metal has really leaned towards an investment than away from it again. You know, everybody's been really happy about it. It's had really good, strong price performance. You know, you're always watching your values go up, it feels like. And I don't really mind waiting the time for my next sell. You know, I think LLC really captures it well when he says, you know, if you don't have, if you're not already invested with a good foundational stack of gold and silver, you know, then you're not really prepared for the market. But if you are prepared for this, this is a fantastic enhancement to your profile.
Yep.
You know, you rarely see a metal that's going to, because I mean, we're taking what a normal lifespan of a metal like silver or gold, and we're shrinking this lifespan of this metal down to this little moment in history.
Yeah.
And so everything that this metal has to go through,
yeah,
and will through its life cycle,
it's doing
so
it
does
in years.
osmium.
It's doing it in years instead of millennia. So it's a thousand-fold compression, isn't it, of time and price action? Yeah.
There we go, compression. I like that. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's really is, it's a hyper market in a way. So although the experience that most people want might not be here at this moment, when it does happen, it'll be such a dramatic rise in demand that there won't be availability to keep up, and you're going to watch osmium back order, and then all those people that invested in $50,000 discs are going to start winning. Then it's their turn. You know.
No, I agree. The big bang will be the awareness, and then the demand will be chasing it within days.
Yep. Yeah, and earlier OTG was asking what's the best way to stack weight, and of course we said osmium nectar, the hexagon's the best, most efficient way to stack weight. And another great thing about that hexagon piece that we got going is that it is what I like to consider bullion priced. So you're not having to pay extra for cut costs and shape cost. You're getting it at the lowest volume base price you can get it at,
and a very versatile shape for design, for using in the future, incorporating. And when you just look in Asian culture, particularly Japanese, if you Google Japanese hexagon designs, you could look at them for the rest of your life. You'll find thousands of pages where how the hexagon is used. And interesting, in Asian culture, the hexagon represents longevity.
Cool. Well, that's another one more appropriate thing to add to the description, because I mean it like just like we were talking longevity. This metal is longevity
and harmony.
And harmony.
Yeah.
So perfect. Yeah.
Two good things to yeah.
And on there. That's cool. Likewise.
But I do like that question, 888. It is fascinating. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near 40,000 people have osmium.
Yeah, I agree.
It might be 5, 10,000.
Yeah, and then cut. Yeah, probably a quarter of that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and here's another thing, just to add on to the Sparkle Grade 5, if you're aiming for additional rarity in your osmium, Sparkle Grade 5 really will be a premium.
Yeah.
Because for starters, like they don't use them a lot for the smaller cuts,
Right.
or very detailed cuts. And they're not going to be using them a lot for like maybe watches as an example. The internal faces of the watches need lots of tolerance and clearances. And so
I think that's a 3, isn't it? Maybe a 4. I'm not sure. Does that show up?
I'd bet a 3. Yeah, let me pull it up. I think that I would say that's probably like a 3.
Yeah.
3 heavy.
it's like a heavy 3,
Yeah,
heavy 3.
Yep.
So yeah, Space Miner's right. They're not likely to use a 5 for that.
Well, and so ultimately it'll be used for like more prestigious pieces of jewelry, because like these pieces there's a significant price difference between a Sparkle 5 and a Sparkle 2 in the same size.
It can be three times, can't it?
Or more, depending on the size of the piece. The bigger it gets, the more dramatic the difference.
Yeah.
So,
and in that crystallization process, you do get a variation. The same surface appearance can be on a thinner piece, so there is a variance as well. It's not. I was going to say it's not a science. I mean, obviously it is a science in creating it, but it's still there's a variation in the thickness as the crystallization increases.
Yeah. So I know my answer on this question, but I'll see what you guys how you guys handle it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the precious metals to a certain, I mean, obviously there's a ratio. So as gold is going up, it makes it even easier for the price of osmium to increase, because I think it's about 18, factor of 18 at the moment with the current gold price.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah.
By weight, but obviously you don't get that sparkle with gold. You don't get that versatility of use. And every piece of cut osmium is a semi-finished piece. And because of that crystalline, beautiful, unique crystallized structure, it's from the experience I've had and other people have had with jewelers, you've done a big part of the work in making a beautiful piece of jewelry. You're buying that as a semi-finished piece. Similar to buying a beautifully cut gemstone.
Right.
You're over half the way there to making a beautiful piece of jewelry.
Space Miner, any words?
and this is in regard to the question, if platinum gets to 3,000 an ounce, yeah, I mean, when you look at how osmium is harvested, it's 1 part out of 10 that's harvested from the platinum, meaning 9 parts out of 10 remain in the platinum we sell. And so
It's trapped.
if you saw the price of platinum start jumping up to $3,000, which I reasonably believe could, with the right stimuli, economic stimuli, I believe it could.
I would say it's a certainty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's a ticking time bomb. It's just like, what's going to be our stimuli, but with that being said, if there was an increase in that, a rapid increase in that market, the demand would demand that they get it out quicker, which means they might not be weighing in the current value of a crystalline of extracting the osmium from that platinum. I mean, some platinum ore, they don't even bother because there's not a high enough concentration. So only the best of the ore, the best of the concentrations even get extracted then. So if platinum's flying off the shelf, these guys might not want to take the time to extract the osmium.
But
it might be more value to... Go ahead, please.
But that only relates to the raw osmium.
Yeah.
Because the Osmium Institute and the Rolf, the Swiss scientist team, have decided to cap the production at 350 kilos.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's
right away.
it's pretty irrelevant what the price of platinum does.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would say is that
Yeah.
the short answer would be no, but the long answer is, in my opinion, I was telling this to Space Miner the other night in a talk we were having, is that I think we're going through a time right now in the world, a unique time where all the fake fiat that has created all of our wealth over, America's prosperity is kind of boomed, but it's been of a fake creation, a certain amount of fake created wealth in there, and that is going to get inflated away. That's what's causing our inflation, and at a certain point, that value is going to have to try to find its way back into real things if it's going to try and preserve itself.
Yeah.
So I think people will suddenly go into the precious metals just because it's the best preservation of wealth over a long term because of its nobleness and all the different things that make it money. And so when they come back and they start looking, they're going to look at gold and, okay, it's doing great. What else might have good upside? Oh, silver has got a great upside, very low. So they're going to they're going to go through these metals with a fine tooth comb. And what's going to be the newest, latest, hottest, most noble, most, it seems like everything, most noble, most dense, most precious, most on and on. And it's going to be, so the awareness, I guess my point is the awareness is going to come into a focus on metals. And this is the new shiny metal that's just coming, last precious metal, as Ian says, to be brought to the market. So,
Can we strike on that for just a second, just to kind of like get everybody on the same page? It's like, what makes a precious metal valuable to us in the first place? You got your rarities, your nobilities, your densities, your store of values. I mean, Ian, maybe you could help fill us in a more strategic definition, but.
Whoa, I mean, obviously, why? I mean, scientifically, it was decided that there were 8 precious metals for their characteristics, their scientific characteristics. But that's an interesting question because I would say rhenium should be a precious metal.
Yeah, or hafnium.
Not just a semi-precious metal, because it's a similar scarcity in the Earth's crust. It's incredibly hard to extract, easier than osmium, but still incredibly hard to separate out from the molybdenum it's found in. So
definitely strategic.
It's a very noble metal in its densest form. It's very non-reactive. It's incredibly hard, but I guess it's not workable and it's not easily castable or stampable or so yeah, what makes a precious metal precious? I mean, originally it was
resistance to corrosion.
And then its malleability with silver and gold made it. Plus, silver and gold used to be picked up easily as placers in an up to 90% or purer form. Literally, people would pick lumps up off the ground and be able to make stuff with it without having to smelt it and refine it. Yeah. But ultimately, read Genesis 2. I mean, God talks in Genesis 2 about the land of Havlim, and in that land there was gold, and that gold is good. Well, that root word good describing gold also describes the light of creation, and it also has big context meaning of hidden. And so I think that's particularly relevant to today's modern society. The value of precious metals is hidden, and very few people actually realize their actual value. And again, you look at the number of mentions of gold and silver, particularly silver in the Bible. It's hundreds and hundreds of times it's mentioned. It just, that's how we were supposed to trade and trade fairly. But then you could say, well, that includes copper, because the monetary standard, I mean, Kevin, you've got a copper.
Well, yeah,
Right.
I can speak on that a little bit, and yes, the first uses even in the Bible, it's Abraham making that speaks of it as money, silver as money.
Yeah.
Abraham is speaking and buying a cave to bury his dead in, and it talks about him weighing out to the moneyer the proper amount of silver.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the beginning there, the first metals were silver and gold. There's even a theory that the very first was electrum, a mixture, but there's also a theory that says that was just kind of the first debasement. Was it started off heavy gold and then got worked into silver. So there's discussion on that, but basically it was silver and gold were your starter metals for your monetary system. And then after like the coins I like to collect are kind of what we consider the Greek period of time. And those were good heavy silver and gold. And but then we got into the later Roman period, and that's when we started getting into the coppers.
Although the time, I mean, you got the widow's mite, haven't you? That's copper.
Right. Yep. And that's more
the time of the temple. So that's pre.
Yeah. I mean, it's so it's actually early 1200 BC, right in there is when we first started getting some copper coins. Before that, it was mostly, well, that's not. There is some copper, but they didn't use it really very much, nearly as money as as they started to a couple hundred years before Christ, I guess.
And copper is a fascinating metal, isn't it? I mean, we've just got a batch of these copper chunks. I can't stop holding one. It's so
pretty, isn't it?
I mean, that's a buck. That's a buck for 2.5 ounces of copper.
That's cool. I'd gladly trade copper for gold if we could make copper the rare one, and
it's only gold, copper, and osmium that have a color. Isn't it? All the other metals are just hues of silver.
Like the closest you get, like strontium can get red.
Okay.
If it's under the right thickness,
but not many people.
You could produce a red.
Not many people have ever.
Yeah, but like not as like a natural occurrence. No. It's your red metals, which are just versions of copper, and gold, your yellow metal, and osmium, your blue. Yeah. That's it. Everything else is white. Is white and gray shades of silvery luster.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Now we have osmium with a beautiful blue hue. It's deep crystallization. I like that. Silver Boy Blues. We've got God's word and wisdom is to be desired more than much fine gold and is sweeter than honey in the honeycomb. It's just that's where the value's at. It's in the honeycomb.
But it does point us in the right direction, doesn't it? It points mankind, eventually. Maybe nations will never get back to sound money, but as individuals and communities, we can.
Right now, that's why I'm stacking anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's the best tool. A lot of people ask when to get out, when to win this, when that. For what I'm stacking for, I think it'll be soon, within the next few years, really. But even if it didn't, my kids will understand at least my mentality of why I'm stacking. They can make their own decisions up, but they already I think they understand. They were listening to someone the other day and they were talking about when they would sell their silver. And I heard my oldest say, "Oh, I just keep holding it." And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that you've got to know that you're getting something of better value, haven't you? Unless you have to sell it for food, or rent, or more, or whatever normal expense. If you don't need to sell it and you're choosing to sell it, you need to be pretty convinced that you're buying something better.
Right. Yeah, and it's the tool for what we're going through in the world right now. I just think it's the best tool. Even if you take kind of the thought process of dollar value out of the picture, and then you get back to kind of what I think might be coming, and then it's just more, you know, how can you transact with someone when the dollar is no longer holding its value? What are they going to want? What can you easily convert? What can you barter, basically, but easily? And that's why gold and silver became money in the first place, was because of this very issue. It's just the best thing to exchange for your commodity because it's valuable everywhere. It's like Lynette Zhang says, it's the most used thing worldwide. It is the most used commodity worldwide. And it doesn't go bad. It doesn't tarnish. It doesn't mold. You could just use wheat or cows, but cows die. Wheat goes bad. Everything else has some issues. But we can always use the gold and silver to get those other things. And that's just why it just works as money. I mean, let alone, you know, anything else you want to put in there. But even just with common sense and those basic breakdowns of providing for, what is it, the hierarchy of needs or something, or whatever you learn about. But that's how gold and silver comes into that type of a hierarchy of needs type of thing. So yeah, I think with what's coming, it's the best tool for that. I mean, you know, that's where your value is going to be, and that's how you're going to be able to. You won't have to have a digital means to make somebody understand that gold is valuable, or that silver is valuable, or that it carries its own value within itself, and you don't need a code for it or a transaction for it.
I think that's when most people will really realize the value of the precious metals.
Right.
We're in a digital system and they can't get any.
Yeah.
That's when they'll really realize. It's like, oh, and they'll go online and they'll look, you know, and they'll try and buy some, and they'll, you can buy an ounce today. What do you mean I can only buy an ounce? Oh no, I want 10. You can buy an ounce today, and if you're a good boy,
all right,
you can buy an ounce tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's when people will realize when you can't buy them.
Yeah.
You can only sell them. It's like that's when, you know, I'm hoping in our community here to develop an understanding that if you can keep it within the community will prosper. But if you look across the areas of America that are in deprivation, it's the value of the effort of the labor of the people who live there is extracted and leaves that area. How do they do that? Fiat currency.
Yep.
And it's a very efficient tool of sucking out the lifeblood of cities, regions, even demographic groups. You know, it's an incredibly powerful tool of destruction that has been wielded in the name of stability. That 2% inflation is good. Yeah.
Right.
When it's really 8%, you know, yeah, that whole thing. And that's what metals, they're the antidote. It's literally the silver bullet, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. It's the best tool I can find, no matter, even if you put all the values like everybody's talking about price and this and that, but if you look at it in another view, it's like going to be the best tool if we keep going down this same road. So
interesting note. I don't know if you guys noticed. I saw in Arcadia Economics, Vince Lancy. I think he's Chris's technical guy.
Yeah.
So 2024, a Chinese guy called Bian Ziming basically beat JP Morgan on speculating on gold. He went incredibly long and ended up making $1.5 billion. Well, that was only reported by one little news outlet in the West. This guy now has gone long 90,000 tons of copper. One Chinese billionaire. So this is sort of pieces fitting together. China is probably as aware how crap fiat currency are as we are. They're probably aware they've debased their currency, I think, 3 times to the extent that we have in the US. So they're preparing for commodity wars where the wealth will transfer into commodities. Because at the end of the day, your copper, your zinc, your lead, your silver, those are the things that can produce wealth. I mean, they're wealth in themselves. They're a store of energy to extract them and refine them. But then they can get made into goods and products. So I think they've worked this out, and they've been stockpiling, and they are ready for a full-on commodity war.
Yep. No, it only makes sense to me too. Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. West Texas, welcome in. Good to see you. Yeah, that's what I see too.
Well, we're getting to a point now. These banks, I mean, the governments, the banks, and the people, I mean, we're all getting to a point where we're not going to be able to keep sustaining on loans.
No.
Loans have to repay, or assets need to be seized at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we're entering I keep calling it a tangible asset-based economy, where you're going to have something. If you want to get a loan for the bank, you're going to have something to back it up, something that they can take back, something that represents the value you want out of them, and quite frankly, a good portion of the nation doesn't have that ability, which means credit isn't an option anymore.
Right.
You're either going to have it or you're not.
Yeah.
And you can only, like Kevin was just saying, you can only fill up the storehouse so much before everything you put in there is just going bad. And now you're not doing yourself any favors, Yeah. So, yeah, no, really, tangibles are the way forward. And you can't fill up your yard with 4 Tauruses, so not the best move.
According to our Treasury Secretary, bicycles are a good value.
Really?
Did you catch that interview with?
No, I just saw him saying, so what if the US debt is now downrated? It's lost its AAA. So what? It doesn't matter. We're still the best country in the world. It's like, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
But it's very well for him. I mean, nobody really mentions that. From what I heard before he was appointed Treasury Secretary, I saw some articles saying that the bulk of his wealth is in physical gold. So if he's so sure about the American dollar and American exceptions and how amazing, and it doesn't matter what our credit rating is, why is he in gold?
Yeah,
no one is mentioning that.
Go buy bonds, bro.
None of the reporters say, Mr. Besson, what percentage of your wealth is in dollars and what percentage is in gold? And from what I heard before, he was almost 100% in gold.
Yeah.
So the demise of the dollar enriches him, gives him more purchasing power. So is he like secretly making it worse? I mean, it would appear what he's saying and doing is making it worse, but it's speeding on the demise of the American empire. It's dying, guys.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well,
I've
been pointing that out and saying that's what's happening.
I really thought it wasn't. I rewind last year. I was really hopeful that with America, Canada, Mexico, South Korea, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, and Britain as trading alliance partners that trusted each other and had free trade, tariff-free trade of each other, and that combination of talents and resources could have created an economic base that has never been seen in the world before.
Yeah, no, yeah, well, yes, it was purposefully. That's kind of was my thing that I've been seeing although it irks me inside, and I try to talk myself out of it, and wish it wasn't so. They've been purposefully kicking out the legs from this country for a while now.
Kicking the legs out, it's like they put a chainsaw on all 4 legs of the chair at once.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, that's how obvious it's gotten, and so yeah.
And what I mean, heck, it was 250 years next year. We nearly made 250 years.
It's a good run. It's a good run.
It is.
And what do they say? You know, the other empires, though, oftentimes, I mean, the Roman, I guess, was probably one of the longer ones, but the ones in between weren't that much longer either, really, were
Well,
they?
the Eastern Rome went on for 1,000 years, didn't it? After the fall
Yeah.
of Western Rome.
Right. But that was what, 4 or 5, and then, like you say, and then the rest of it lived on for another, well,
millennia, 1,000 years.
yeah. But then after that, and that wasn't like, well, yeah, however you consider that. But then all the rest, then what did we have after that? We had the Saudis took over, whatever, not the Saudis, but the
Muslims conquered, yeah.
And then it was Britain, right, basically.
Well, that empire's never really died.
Oh, are you talking about the Ottoman
Empire?
Yeah, Ottoman, and then Persia changed over to Iran, and then the Saudi, and then Arabia became Saudi Arabia.
And I guess
I just glitched, didn't I?
Yeah, like Iran is one of the longest lasting places that hasn't been overtaken by another nation for like a long time. I think they might be one of the longest lasting examples that hasn't been taken.
It's biblical Persia.
So
yeah, it's biblical Persia. It's going to be there till the end, like right till the end. You know, it's going to be a major player. So
cool. Well, guys, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool to see that and see where we're at now, and you know, just like he was talking, maybe some more partners will come into the deal, and here we are. So I just thought we would talk about it a bit and see where we're at and see what we're thinking, and so. After the big to do in Vegas, the big jewelry show, we're going to be having the Osmium Symposium here in Denver. So that's going to be a big event, a very exciting event. So if anybody is interested in checking that event out, we'll have lots of great pieces of osmium and all the different sparkle grades and some beautiful jewelry that it will adorn, and great people and great information. So I definitely would love to see some of you there if you want to come out.
And we will be talking the traditional precious metals as well.
Of course, that's always a thing, and and that's like both of these gentlemen have pointed out. That's one thing that I like to start off with, is to point out, get yourself a solid base of your base understood metals that are much more liquid. Like if you need to exchange quickly, there's a near coin store near you. You can make that happen, no problem. And once you get that good stuff covered, then it's time for your corner stall racehorse. So yeah, that's what I got. What do you got, Space Miner?
Man, I think you nailed it. Back to, if you all have an opportunity to catch us, if you're going to be in the area, I'd highly recommend it. If you've never put your hands on a piece of osmium, it'll change the way you feel weight. Literally, you'll never gauge gold the same way again. It's nearly twice the density of it's over twice the density of silver. And so if you've never experienced that before, it adds a pronounced effect on your precious metals understanding. It just makes so much more sense in the hand. So don't miss an opportunity and to see it in real life, in real sun. In
real sun, that's what I was going to say. Yep, I bet there'll be some sun. You can catch a nice piece and get it in some sun.
Yeah. And learn about the diversity of your investments too. It's it's not some spooky, scary metal. It's easy to enter.
Yeah.
And you, unlike a lot of your metals, you have a direct applicable use with it. You know, you can just tie it directly into a jewelry, directly into a bullion, and right away go to using it. You know, that gold, you're going to have to mash it and hammer it and drill it and weld it. And osmium's too easy, you know.
And you have that great independent, secure database proof of ownership.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah.
Which I don't think any other metal has that, does it?
No, and so many things. Like I'm gonna have to make a list of these things because it just like I keep adding more and more to it. But yeah, so come check it out here in Denver. We're gonna probably we're gonna have it for a few days. So there, you know, it's gonna be through the 9th through the
10th through the 14th. There'll be
10th through the 14th. Plenty of time to make it over and check it out. So definitely stop by. And yeah, you have anything you want to add before we get out of here, Ian?
No, I need to get something to eat. I'm hungry.
All right. All right. Well, thank you everybody out there for hanging out with us, and we will be back. Are you going to be willing to jump on with me again tomorrow night still? As our normally
Absolutely. I think there'll be a whole lot more news will happen tomorrow.
I've got more things that I didn't even bring up.
Oh, there will be. Yeah, I think the news is going to come thick and fast. I mean, Japan. I mean, did you just see Japan are just saying if you carry on being mean to us, we are going to sell 1 trillion of U.S. treasuries. And what are they going to do with that trillion? I bet you a lot of it they'll buy gold.
Right. Oh yeah.
Can you imagine $500 billion going into gold tomorrow?
And that's not even far-fetched at all.
Gold would be $5,000 by the end of tomorrow if Japan decides to
understandable move and everything. Yeah.
And China, I think they're weaponized. I think they have a lot more US debt than they're transparently say they own, because there's been a lot of sales, and I did see a program, somebody was trying to track it, and apparently they sell a lot of it. When they sell the dollar, US debt, they're selling it in Belgium. But there's lots of ways they can buy it back secretly. So I really would not be surprised if China has 2 trillion or more of US debt, so they could dump a whole lot more than is expected. Wow. we're at that point now. We have insulted the whole world for no good reason.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing now. What's it called? Abuser. Anything but USA.
Right. Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. Yep, that seems to be where we're at, sadly. So, all right, guys. Well, then, yeah, we will be back tomorrow night with more fun. So, hope you'll join us back tomorrow night. All right, thanks everybody.
Bye, chat.
Bye.